My concern is that the media continues to frame the Kenyan issues very casually. And you've done very well by asking post-election violence. Is it about money? Is it about tribalism? Since I was born, this has been a question being framed from since you're born. You've heard about post-election violence. Are we going for election? Can we have post-election violence? We're going for an election. Is going to be tribalism? Will it be there or not? I think, Debal, we as an academic, and let's say as a scholar, but also as someone who has fought for rights in Kenya, we need to understand how to frame the Kenyan problem. And when we don't frame the right question, we cannot even get closer to getting the right answer. So allow me to frame this way. As we are going towards an election, we know we are coming from a point when a very towering figure in the name of Raila Odinga passed on. And the politics of 2027 will be very different without him. If he was there, they're still going to be very different anyway. He's going to play a different role. So at the moment, there is a serious gap in what is called voice of reason in Kenya. And also there's a serious gap in what is called moral conscience of this country. Who is the moral conscience of this country? And the third question is, who is the voice of hope? So without voice of hope, without a moral authority from anywhere, because the church sort of lost it, people are sitting on the fence, the opposition joined government, and there's government opposition and there's opposition in government. And then who is giving Kenyans hope? Without these questions being answered, when people will start fighting and criticizing each other and talking about bad politics, who is going to be the moral authority, the voice of reason, and the hope for Kenya? A country where a youth fears tomorrow is a country that is in danger. If we do not frame the right Kenyan problem going into the election and answer it, we are going to have a serious problem, because there was a time when post-election violence was the government has taken over, opposition do not want, opposition mobilize people to the street, and then people fight on tribal lines. In 2024, something emerged where there was a tribeless movement, the emergence of that leaderless, partyless, tribeless, those less, brought a new movement in Kenya, and no one has framed a question and an answer for it. And Fred Ogolla has. And I told you, and I've been repeating here, the Kenyan problem is economic, not political, not tribal. Because that day, all tribes came together to the street. That day, all political movements came to the street. That day, all generations came to the street. They came united by one economic operation, which was brought by the finance bill. Now, to solve that problem, should not be asking whether elections are free, whether be fair and fair. That will be between politicians. They can fight whatever they want. We might not even join them. But the question is there any group, any formation that will solve the Kenyan problem, which is economic? One-term movements are ideological nihilists. They have no idea how to solve the economic problem, and they have not convinced me in any way. The two-term movement are currently in government, and instead of executing the economic problem, they are doing political overreach and tribal, tribal, alliances. They are not solving the Kenyan problem. They are trying to do compensation, but they have not addressed what brought us to the street. The economic problem, which I now frame, as I said, 60% of youth are unemployed, 20% are underemployed. We are having 80% of our young people whose potential are not being used well. There's the youth budget, which is there. And that's why Ogolla 27 with LDP came with what's called the silver bullet. One silver bullet, which is called 100,000 jobs per county, translating to 4.7 million jobs nationally, to lower the debt we have, because we're going to bring taxpayers into the bracket. We're going to lower inflation. We're going to lower the interest rate. We are going to have the higher purchasing power of the Kenya shilling. And we are going to strengthen the currency of the Kenya. And of course, in the end, create production and make a vibrant economy. That's the silver bullet. Without that solution being done, one term, two term is as useless as they are called. And anybody who thinks that they are going to solve the problem, even if Jesus Christ was to become the president in 2027, and do not frame that economic question and solve it, whether the election are free or fair, no one will care. They will say you must go. And must go, must go.
All right. So we are approaching it casually. This is what you say, the way it is being contextualized, the contextual frames from the media. But I was not really asking questions just from my own off the bat like that. I was just quoting what this Kofi Annan Foundation is actually projecting, that the likelihood of 84% risk of election-related violence in 2027 is likely. Yes, maybe we need to frame and change the conversation, which I do agree. And we need to elevate it so that it doesn't really become binary the way we have actually envisioned it or seen it lately happening here in the country. Very feisty and really, really worrying. But then how do we plumb deeper to that intellectual depth of changing the brand of our politics?
Just 1 minute. You know media, I know media. I've consulted for media. I was the one commercial advisor for Nation Media Group. Media does what is called current affairs. They like current affairs. This is trending. If we don't move away from current affairs and start being strategic, being proactive, and looking at the deep cause of the problem, cause of causes, causa causarum in Latin. If we don't go to the cause of causes, why are we talking about risk of violence? The numbers can be there, 85%, 95%, but what is the root cause? If we don't address that one, we shall just be addressing symptoms of a problem, but the problem is still right there. So I'm not disagreeing. The current affairs should tell us this is a problem, but this is a symptom. Let's go deeper and find out what is happening, because you can't go to the river banks and see dead bodies coming from there and you are burying them every day without discovering there must be a war on up front there that is causing this body. So instead of burying the bodies, rather rush there and stop that war. And unless you are going to bury these bodies, you cannot be compensating people. You know very well the government will kill them again, and then you compensate them. That's my point, Deborah.
Right, fair enough. Thank you. Is this just maybe the legacy conventional media as we know it? Because we are living in a very different epoch of time as we know it with the social media. And all you're talking about is what they normally call the media framing theory. You know, it is how we frame also the stories, the agenda that we set as media houses as well. But we are no longer, of course, should I say, the legacy media, setting the tone and tenor of the politics of a country as well, which sometimes really bankroll, so to speak, quote unquote, and steamroll such a binary politics that we've been seeing lately.